Help somebody identify rituals. Typically, sexual behavior does not happen spontaneously. Now, we may celebrate spontaneous sexual activity in marriage. Our society certainly celebrates spontaneity when it comes to sexual behavior. But typically, addictive sexual behavior, those patterns don't just boom, it happens. Typically, there are rituals. Rituals meaning patterns of behavior. There are specific patterns of behavior that we typically get involved in before that predicted sexual behavior that we're trying to stop happens. A case in point. I'm working with a 12-year-old client, struggling with internet pornography, tried to stop, can't stop, tried a lot of different ways to stop, haven't been able to stop. The ritual was come home from school, open the door, there is nobody in the house. So I start trying to do things to occupy my boredom. I may go play baseball, I may go outside with a friend, I may play a video game, I may sit down to do homework, but I'm doing things to try to not go get on the computer. Once I've exhausted all those things, then I remember, oh, the computer's over there. So I go sit down, I log on to the computer. Now I'm looking at pornography. But then a part of the ritual becomes the cover-up. After I've looked at the pornography, I'm deleting cookies, I'm erasing history. I'm kind of cleaning my mess up so that when my mom or dad get home, nobody knows what I did. Now that's kind of a ritual. So if we can identify the ritual, okay, predictable patterns of behavior. You know, another ritual may be I'm a female, I'm 14 years old, I'm not in a relationship, but I just saw somebody I'm interested in being in a relationship with. And so, you know, when I come to school tomorrow, I'm wearing certain things that make me look more attractive, or I'm then finding a way to meet this person. You know, I drop my books in the hall. I get a friend to find out what's the phone number, or what I am, so I can email, so I can get on the internet, have conversations, so I can text. Somewhere or another, I'm going to make an introduction and be very flirtatious. I'm going to kind of let it be pretty well known I'm interested. And then once we end up in relationship, then I'm making kind of some suggestive comments that could be taken in a sexual way, but then they could not be, because if I don't get the response I want, I can always play it off. Well, I was just kidding, I was just joking, or no, I didn't mean that, I meant. And eventually, we kind of end up in a situation where now we're in relationship, and then now because we're in a relationship, we're doing things sexually, and boom, here I am again. In other words, it doesn't just, okay, I go to school and I meet a guy and we're sexual, that night. There's a pattern of I'm doing the same thing over and over. Person's different, but I'm doing the same exact things. We identify the rituals. Then, after we identify them, we can start to look at boundaries to avoid the acting out. Boundaries meaning what can I put, like fences. They're boundaries, they're barriers. What can I put in my life that will act as a boundary that keeps me from doing these things? An example of a boundary. I may not have computer access. It is password protected and I don't know the access. So the only way to get on is for my spouse or a parent to log me on. And then when I get off, it's logged off and then I can't get on it anymore. That becomes a boundary. Boundaries are... We don't need to put boundaries in place as punishments to ourselves. Oh, well, I messed up. Well, let me put a boundary that really punishes me. Boundaries are there to keep things out. It's to keep the behavior away from us. It's kind of like if I'm a sheep, I want a fence up around me, not so I can't go explore the pasture, but so no mean animals can get in to get me. Boundaries are our friends, not our enemies. Boundaries allow us to behave in the way we want to behave. They are there to keep us from behaving in ways we really don't want to behave. So we need to look at what boundaries do we need to put in place to keep ourselves from being able to act out, because in the moment when we're wanting to act out, if there is any way to do it, we're going to find a way. So the only way to protect ourselves is to set up boundaries that keep us from even being able to act out. Help identify resources. What resources are around to help you? Is that, I know counselor? Is that Here's a helpful book, here's a helpful DVD. Is there a person in my life that can help me? But just help them identify who is it in your life who can help you, what are your resources are available. Encourage this person to consider telling the appropriate people in their life. If it is a husband, okay, what's it going to take for you to be able to tell your wife? What's it going to be able to take for you to be able to tell a close friend? So we're encouraging, and if it's a teenager, what might it take to be able to tell a parent? Can you see yourself sharing this with a parent? If not, who can you see yourself sharing this with? In all honesty, I've encountered adolescents that don't need to tell a parent because their parents are not safe enough at that moment to be able to tell. Because telling would cause such a huge eruption that all it would do is just drive more and more and more shame and guilt on them. So in those situations, okay, if you're not able to tell a parent yet, with the emphasis being yet, who can you tell? Who are appropriate people you can share this with? Get the secret out. We need to find out, okay, do you have healthy relationships with other people that are your gender? If it's a man, do you have other male friends? If it's a girl, do you have other female friends that you're close to, that you just really connect with and get along well with in a healthy kind of way? Because typically what we see, people who are struggling with addictive sexual behaviors, is they tend to not have close, intimate relationships. They tend to be more isolated, to be more loners. I don't need people. I'm not going to invest in these relationships. I may have 100 acquaintances, but I have no real close friends. Or I may get along, if it's a female struggling with sexual behavior, I get along great with guys. I'm such good friends with guys. All my friends are with guys. Well, duh. Surprise. Typically, we are wounded in relationships. And a lot of addictive sexual behavior comes out of hurt, comes out of fear, comes out of woundedness. And because we're usually wounded in relationship, we tend to heal in relationship. So it can be very healing, very helpful to, if we don't already have really intimate relationships in safe ways, it can be real helpful to begin building those intimate relationships. And when I use the term intimate, what I mean is being able to be known for who we really are. No mask, no pretense. I don't have to be Mr. Sports. I don't have to be Miss Cheerleader. I don't have to be the perfect Christian person that does all the Christian stuff. I can be who I really am and let people know the real me without having to wear masks or be false. And at the same time, I'm willing to get to know the real other person in this relationship. I'm willing to get to know the real them. I'm willing to realize and accept that they may not be a particular way, and that's okay. I can accept them for who they really are. That's intimacy, being known and knowing on a real level, not just a superficial or a pretense level.